He's a genius. He can do special things with the football.
Ball still in there. Pulisic! Hat-trick!
This one drops in! And forget away!
Golazo! Golazo! Golazo!
And we are back on the soccer show on sleepyhollowradio.com. I'm Kevin Aguirre, joined by Aidan Ballard. We've got the last episode of the year 2020 here for you guys. So we're going to start it off with the Premier League match week results. So first game of the weekend, we got Liverpool against Crystal Palace. Liverpool, I think, annihilated Crystal Palace.
Crystal
7-0.
Palace didn't even bother showing up to that game. 7-0.
And Takumi Minamino, Firmino, Sadio Mane, Henderson, and Mo Salah all got on the score sheet.
And
this was like...
I think what's so impressive about this Liverpool team is, like, they have all these injuries, yet they're still in the best form they've ever been in.
This was, I believe, Liverpool's biggest top-flight away win in the Premier League in history, or tied up with another result. And, I mean, for Crystal Palace fans, this is just brutal.
That's just brutal to see. I mean, there's not much you can do.
I did notice on their Twitter account for Crystal Palace that normally when a team scores or their team scores, they'll tweet it out and they put like hashtags this, hashtag that. But like for this game, they just stopped doing hashtags. They just said 7, 6, solid. like it was so funny.
There was nothing you could do.
Yeah. Next game, Manchester City 1-0 against Southampton. Raheem Sterling was the only goal scorer in this match. And although it was a 1-0 win, it should have had much more.
It seemed like Manchester City had plenty of opportunities inside the box. They just weren't very clinical with their chances. I mean, I'm talking about Riyad Mahrez had a few shots that just sailed over the goal, and he definitely should have put one of those on goal.
Yeah, the City defense also have found their form by conceding only one goal in the month of December. That's pretty impressive.
It's pretty impressive for them. And it's a big step considering looking at like their defense at the beginning of the season and how much they struggled defensively. Now they found themselves.
It's funny because Manchester City's Twitter account, like day after, is like tweeted, "How's everyone doing so far?" Like,
I know they're feeling good about themselves.
They're feeling good. Southampton are just raging from that result.
Southampton was in such good form, and it's definitely a roadblock for them, but they'll pick it back up.
Yeah. Everton 2, Arsenal 1. This is yet again another loss for Mikel Arteta's side. They had Aubameyang, who wasn't able to play in this game. Everton are now back on form. They're back. They're on fire yet again. They beat Chelsea. They beat Leicester. Now they beat Arsenal. Arsenal are just like not feeling themselves.
And I think just for Arsenal, I think there's always something new in the media to speak about. And today it was actually the manager of Ghana for talking about Thomas Partey and how if Partey here I'll just read the quote. He said, "Honestly, I wouldn't want him to move to Arsenal because with Atletico, he will always play Champions League football."
I agree. I think basically when this transfer happened, we had a lot of people going like, "Oh my gosh, he's playing in the Premier League, the best league in the world." Like this is like it seemed like a pretty bold move, but moving to a team like Arsenal, who've been struggling for the last few years now, who are not able to catch up to the top 4 positions. They can't compete for Champions League anymore. They're stuck with the Europa League, and last year they weren't even supposed to qualify for the Europa League because but they won the FA Cup, which gave them the qualification. But this Arsenal team, they've been poor. We just have to admit it. They've been poor,
extremely weak.
This is weak, I think, for Thomas Partey. I mean, he now sees it. He now regrets.
He wants to stay because Atletico's top of the table.
Atletico, yeah, they could be winning the league this year, the La Liga. That's just crazy. If this happens, if they win the league and Arsenal
get relegated,
maybe relegated or not even qualified to the Europa League, that's just gonna be just gonna be crazy. We've got Newcastle 1, Fulham 1. This was a tight 1-1 draw. It was good for Fulham, who are in 18th, but they have 10 points now. The Fulham manager, Scott Parker, was absolutely furious when that penalty was gifted to Callum Wilson, who, Callum Wilson's been on form for Newcastle. That's one heck of a signing, I'll be honest with you.
Callum Wilson's definitely had an instant impact on this team. This made their attack significantly better.
Yeah. This is a funny statistic. Fulham are unbeaten through their last 3 games, but they have not won since November 30th, which is crazy. I mean,
just like a lot of draws. They can't find their winning ways.
yeah, this is just like I don't know if you guys watch La Liga that much, but it's just like Huesca, newly promoted Huesca, who just like they only tie. They did beat, I believe it was Deportivo Alaves like a week ago, but they just keep tying, and that's what's literally like causing them to.
I think speaking about winning ways, Sheffield United is still not won yet.
They just tied with Brighton 1-1. We had that feeling that Sheffield United would get their first win of the season in this game, but it was too good to be true. I mean, Danny Welbeck rockets home the equalizer in the 87th minute, and Brighton, they find the draw.
And I think about like the Sheffield United team. They may not be the greatest team, but like it's getting to the point now where they're gonna pull an upset. They're going to find that first win. It's just a matter of time. I
really hope they start winning again. I mean, I don't want to see them get relegated after like what they've done last season. It's just surprised everyone. But yeah, like it's pretty devastating. There's some people saying that Chris Wilder, if he just keeps drawing and like losing, that he might get sacked. But before
they haven't won in months.
Yeah, no, it's just ridiculous. I mean, next up we've got Manchester United versus Leeds. This was, I think arguably match of the weekend.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
A 6-2 win to Manchester United. Scott McTominay scored in the second and the third minutes. That is crazy. I like, that's really good for him, for his career. I mean,
and now like looking at Manchester United, they are one game played. They've played one less game than Liverpool, everyone else, besides Manchester City, and they're 3 points. If they won that game, they'd be at 29 points, 2 points behind the leaders.
Last time I saw Manchester United in the Premier League table, they were sitting in the middle, literally in the middle of the table. I think it was 11th or 12th, but now they are third, which is like, how the heck did that happen? I mean, yeah, like you said, they're one game behind Liverpool and Leicester, who are in the top. But man, Manchester United in third.
They're playing extremely impressive. They scored 6 goals and.
Absolutely, especially against a team like
and
Leeds.
Then the big thing was like kind of how Villa beat Liverpool in match week 4 7-2, and how Tottenham beat Manchester United 6-1 in match week 4, and now it's kind of flipped the script. Manchester United wins 6-2 against Leeds.
Yeah, it's
Liverpool wins 7-0 against Palace.
It's football. I mean, what can you like expect? I mean, anything can happen in the sport, which is insane. So next up, we've got Tottenham against Leicester. Leicester came up with a big 2-0 win, and the question is, did Jurgen Klopp break Tottenham?
I mean, clearly the better team lost again.
I mean, Jose Mourinho would agree with that, definitely.
Yeah. First, before we speak about this Tottenham team, kind of break down what's going on there. This Leicester team looks extremely strong. With Jamie Vardy's in good form. He's playing really well right now.
I think their biggest signing of the season, of the summer transfer market, Wesley Fofana from Saint-Etienne, it really paid off. He's 19 years of age, and 20, and he's very comfortable now at that center back position, where he now gets constant like starting lineups, and like he's been very impressive.
Leicester are very good at finding like these like really cheap guys to pick up and just have an instant impact on their team. They're probably gonna, in a couple of years, end up selling him for like 40 million.
Yeah, and Brendan Rodgers done a superb job as manager of Leicester. I mean, he's come in and he's like stepped up their game. They qualified, from the Europa League this season. And I think, this Leicester team could go places.
And now Tottenham, they had an absolute collapse. And Kevin, I'm gonna ask you: did Liverpool break Tottenham?
I mean, it's definitely like something to do with Liverpool, because that 2-1 win, it was absolutely horrendous from Tottenham. I mean, I'll be honest with you, like they were just parking the bus the whole time. Like Liverpool were absolutely dominating in shots, passing. I believe like Tottenham, They collected like only like 54 passes in the first half of that match, which is bizarre. But yeah, like I said, possession, shots, passing, like it was all like controlled from Liverpool, like absolutely dominated. And this Tottenham team couldn't do anything.
I think another point about Tottenham that's kind of like teams are kind of realizing, it's like if you score early against Tottenham, their entire attack is screwed up, because they're so reliant on sitting back and counterattacking that if you take the lead, you can kind of just sit back, and their counterattack's is no longer effective.
I think and like we said with that Liverpool Tottenham game, like their confidence just like it just like it's not going well for them. For Liverpool it is, but Leicester City at the same time, they did lose against Everton, but they know how to pick themselves up and get back to their winning ways. And yeah, that's the joy of watching a team like Leicester City. For Tottenham, I mean, it's unfortunate, but like if we see like a Liverpool Tottenham like title race right there, I think that would be just perfect.
They have a good test against Wolves.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes for them.
Aston Villa is next, and they played West Brom and they beat West Brom actually 3-0. Villa clean up West Brom. This was like a big disappointment for Sam Allardyce as his first game as West Brom manager.
I mean, it's like,
I really expected them to tie. I'm not gonna lie. But Villa were the clear superior team. West Brom, fun fact, West Brom only managed to tally up one shot in this game, which is
that's just crazy,
outrageous.
And I think the thing about like West Brom's, like, I'm sure the players aren't too happy about this whole, like, they were with their manager. There must have been either something interior that happened in the club, or because it seemed like the players enjoyed playing for their manager. Everything seemed like it was going well. I mean, they draw Man City and then he gets fired.
This is like it's crazy what football's become today. I mean, but in the 36th minute, actually, the skipper for West Brom, Jake Livermore, gets sent off from a VAR call. Originally got a yellow card, but it was changed to red, and I think that just like
kind of broke them.
It broke them. He was like the heart and soul of this team, especially being skipper. I mean. But at the same time, Anwar El Ghazi scored 2 goals. Bertrand Traore scored 1. And this Aston Villa team continues to impress. And their away tally in the Premier League remains perfect.
It's pretty good for them. And now let's move into the Monday games.
All right. We have Burnley against Wolves.
And I think watching like this Wolves game, it was Burnley got a good result, 2-1. And it seemed like this Wolves team was kind of like they were overwhelmed by this Burnley attack. Yeah. Burnley was like, they had a good press going, and this Wolves team didn't know how to break through and play like with composure, and they kind of just ran through them, and eventually like, it wasn't the cleanest goal, their first goal.
Yeah.
But they just forced it in because there was so much pressure, and there was nothing they could do.
Yeah, no, big credits to Ashley Barnes for scoring his first goal in over a year. Nick Pope had a good match. Chris Wood was the other goal scorer, and Fabio Silva, the young teenager from Wolves, netted his first goal for Wolves with that penalty.
Yeah, just a little garbage penalty at the end of the game.
Yeah.
But this Wolves team needs to figure it out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sticking in Traore from in the 60th minute, I think he just should have started that match. I mean, to boost up their confidence a little bit. We know how tremendous he can be with the ball. But I mean, Burnley, they picked up 3 vital points. They're 1 point away from Arsenal. They land in 16th position, and they're 1 game behind Arsenal. So a win for them would get them above Arsenal.
And Arsenal's got Chelsea next week, so
that's going to be a good game.
It's not getting any easier for them.
Yeah.
Now speaking of Chelsea had a 3-0 win against West Ham, but if you watch that game, the score was not. It didn't seem like a 3-0 game.
It didn't. No, really didn't.
It wasn't a dominant Chelsea performance. And I'm just going to start with Declan Rice had a goal that was called off by VAR for offsides. So that was the kind of the first thing.
Yeah.
And then Thiago Silva had a beautiful header.
That was a beautiful header. That was a bullet header. That was brilliant from him.
They've been so good in the box, so clinical with Zuma and Thiago Silva. It's impressive to see that improvement.
Yeah.
Chilwell went out with injury.
Emerson had to replace him.
Emerson played a good game.
Yeah.
Now talking about their attack, Abraham had 2 nice goals back to back, but Timo Werner was the story of the night, and he's been a story for a while now. He's been goalless for a long time now, and he missed 2 great chances.
Yeah,
both right in front of goal, and
that was just we were just like, how did he not make that? We know he's a clinical striker, but I mean,
he can get into the perfect position and he can't convert.
We know he was struggling in the Prem. We didn't know exactly like what was affecting him, but I do believe a tweet came out from him, and you want to read that?
Yes,
Aidan?
this is what Timo Werner was commenting about his adjustment to the Premier League. The Premier League is a little bit tough, bit different to my old league. It's tougher than I thought. The contact here is harder than in Germany. It's what I expected, but not like this. Kevin, what's your reaction to a player saying something like that? That kind of just...
That's something...
It's so hard to see a player say that in the media.
That's not something you say in the media. I mean, it if he let's say he wasn't expecting this, like, how you need to do, if he didn't know this was gonna happen to him, like, you gotta do your research. I mean, like, this is like the biggest, arguably the biggest league in the world. This is the most competitive one, where you have literally any team could be in any position at the end of the season, and you have like so many big teams. They have like top 6 teams that exist in this league. So this, like, any result can happen. Like, but for Timo Werner, we know the Bundesliga was quite a bit easier, because these were no offense to the Germany, but like German teams, they do seem a little bit more like not I just want to say, like, Premier League is more competitive.
It is. It's definitely more competitive, a lot more aggressive.
And if he didn't think it was gonna be that hard, then I don't know what he was doing.
And it's not just Werner, it's also Kai Havertz.
Havertz as well.
Havertz hasn't adjusted to the league either, and it's difficult for both of them.
Yeah, both like with poor starts. I mean, both coming from the Bundesliga. Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen and Timo Werner from Leipzig. I personally think that if they don't manage to find their form later on this season, that they could be like loaned out, or maybe. I think Werner will eventually find his stride. Yeah.
It's just gonna take, like, he just needs that first goal.
But I will tell you this: those chances that he had this whole season for Chelsea so far, I think he would definitely score, like,
he could be like
when he was back at Leipzig. Yeah.
And one more thing to kind of wrap up this game: Christian Pulisic, our American. We're not doing an American segment today, but speaking about Pulisic played extremely well.
No, he had a bunch of dribbles.
A bunch of amazing dribbles.
And then there was one where he was I don't exactly like know how to describe it, but he did dribble past the West Ham defense, but he just couldn't finish. And
yeah.
So then
it just caught on the back on the front of his shin.
Yeah.
And
then it just went out of bounds. I mean, that was unlucky, but that was pretty impressive from him.
Arsenal breakout game. He did score last time they played Arsenal in the FA Cup, so could be.
I could definitely see Chelsea winning this. I mean, Arsenal. There's now that I think about it, there's no way Arsenal could win this. I mean,
no chance.
Like it's a bold statement, but like there's no chance. Chelsea, they're in fine form. Arsenal, they're not, and they have Chelsea have Mendy in goal. He's been superb.
Really well.
Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma, they've been so superb. Mason Mount as well. If do I see Timo Werner getting dropped for this match? I doubt it. Maybe like if they replace him with someone like Hudson-Odoi, who could play on the right.
I think what's difficult is like they don't have they're dealing with so many injuries.
Definitely, yeah.
But it's difficult. So it's like you stick Pulisic on the left wing, and I mean if Ziyech is back, you have to put Ziyech on the right wing. And
definitely,
I would think either Tammy or Werner gets the striker. Maybe even Giroud. It's so difficult.
There's a lot of options. No, I agree, but like at the same time, there's like a lot of injuries as well, which is pretty sucks for them. But yeah, I mean, this is in the end a good result. Good 3 points for Chelsea. We're gonna go around Europe.
Let's do it.
In the Bundesliga, where 16-year-old Yusofa Makoko becomes the youngest goal scorer in Bundesliga history when he scored in that 2-1 defeat against Union Berlin. This kid is insane. I mean. This kid is like supposed to be a junior in high school,
and he's scoring
in the Bundesliga.
That's crazy.
And he's getting like starts with the Borussia Dortmund team. This is ridiculous.
That's great. And he could even get a Champions League start soon. That'd be insane.
Schalke remained bottom of the table with 4 points after defeat against newly promoted side Arminia Bielefeld. Schalke, who were once Champions League participants, are now fighting for relegation. This is pretty sad.
They're similar to Sheffield United.
Definitely.
A team that had such promise and now is kind of like just like failed.
I think I can relate the Schalke side to Malaga back in like that year that they were relegated.
Just to start so strong, and then
they started so strong that they made it to the Champions League quarterfinals where they lost to Borussia Dortmund in the last minute, but now they are sitting in the second division of La Liga, and that's just like pretty devastating, I'd say. And this is like the American effect. McKennie leaves, and all of a sudden Schalke are just doing terrible.
It's obviously that's the only reason.
All right. Bayern Munich knocked off Bayer Leverkusen 2-1. Patrick Schick. I don't know if you saw the goal.
That volley.
That was insane. Patrick Schick.
That was a rocket.
Yeah, it reminded me of like Zidane when he scored like in that Champions League
It was
final.
such a casual goal too. He kind of just stepped up to it and just ripped it.
Yeah, no, it was really crazy. But in the end, Bayern Munich they did pick up 3 vital points.
Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
To the rescue.
It's so funny because like when Thomas Müller made that press conference, like he was in that press conference and he just said Robert Lewandowski and no one was laughing. He was like, okay, you guys are supposed to laugh, come on now, this is like funny, like, but like now we're laughing, we're getting the joke like a little bit more serious now. Moving on to La Liga, we saw Barcelona and Valencia fought for a 2-2 draw in the Camp Nou, leaving Barcelona in 5th place, which means Europa League. This was, I believe this was a well-contested match. I mean, both sides had their opportunities. Barcelona, though, the ref, for that first goal for Barcelona, let me just walk you to it. I believe it was Messi who was getting onto the penalty box, and then Gaia supposedly trips him, and then all of a sudden the ref pulls out a red card, and I'm like, what? That's not a red. That's a yellow card. If it's a trip, it's a yellow. And
it's a yellow, yeah.
I don't know what he was doing, but the ref showed Jose Gaia a red card, and then he had to go to VAR and he had to take it out and then just give him a yellow. I'm like, that should have never been a red card in the first place. Anyway, Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid beat Elche and Eibar respectively, and are now sitting in the top of the table with 29 points each. This is like cool seeing the Madrid teams dominating the La Liga. And Real Sociedad, they continue to drop points, this time in a 2-1 loss to Levante. Are they considered a flop?
It's definitely starting to seem that way. I mean,
I think what it's become like Everton, like when they were winning like like quite a few like games, but then they just started dropping points, and yeah, it's unfortunate to see Real Sociedad. I mean, hopefully they can get
hopefully
like,
they can find it back.
Yeah. In the Serie A, Juventus defeated Parma 4-0 with 2 goals from Cristiano Ronaldo. Milan defeated Sassuolo 2-1, and as of now, Milan and Juventus are the only 2 teams undefeated in Europe's top 5 leagues. That is insane.
That's insane, and like, who would have thought Milan would be at the top? And speaking about Milan, they had a Rafael Leao scores in 6.2 seconds.
The fastest goal in Serie A history. I mean, just a big congratulations.
That's crazy.
Like especially when you go from kickoff directly to goal, like that's
those goals are so rare, and it's like obviously if he doesn't score that, the manager's like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And the Ligue 1, in the French league, Lille and PSG tied in a 0-0 draw. Moment of the match was in Presnel Kimpembe, PSG's center back, made a heroic tackle against Burak Yilmaz in a Lille counterattack. I believe it was a 3v1 because like it was just so like crazy. Like it was like Lille was about to score. They had Yilmaz, I believe it was Jonathan David up at top, but Kimpembe was the only one. He was very good at tracking down every single attacker, and he made that save, and it cost him a little injury. It cost him to be subbed off due to injury. So, but like that was heroic.
I think it's really cool to see like PSG not being at the top of the
this makes the league more competitive.
It makes League One a lot better, seeing like Lille challenge for the title.
Like that year we saw Monaco win the League One. That was pretty that was phenomenal.
It makes the league a lot more exciting. It'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
Obviously, like they're still trying to figure out, and PSG's still figuring out kind of who they are after that Champions League defeat. They're still not the same PSG.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna take a short break, and we will come back with the results of this fan pick survey that you guys filled out.
And as well, Kevin and I will be giving our picks on the players of the year as well. So we'll see you then.
We'll be back. We're back on the Soccer Show on SleepyHollowRadio.com, and now it's time to see what you guys, the fans, have voted for on the 2020 Soccer Show Player Poll Awards. Let's start off with the Ballon d'Or, the best player. The runners-up, we have 21.7% going to Cristiano Ronaldo, 23.9% of the votes going to Lionel Messi, and the winner, 39.1 votes goes to, of course, the goal machine, Robert Lewandowski. I couldn't agree more. This was well-deserved.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, yeah, it stinks there wasn't a Ballon d'Or this year, but Lewandowski would have definitely won it.
Definitely. And going now to Golden Glove Award, the best goalkeeper. This is a pretty tight.
This was a tight race.
Tight one. 19.6% goes to Keylor Navas from PSG.
With 9 votes for him.
And it's an equal 21.7% to Manuel Neuer and to Marc-Andre Ter Stegen.
Each with 10 votes.
And the winner is, with 23.9%, is Alisson Becker from Liverpool. I personally think Neuer should have won it. I think
Neuer. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Alisson Becker had a really good year, but Liverpool's defined by that defense.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I believe Neuer conceded less goals than Alisson.
And especially for his performances in the Champions League, it was Neuer deserves that award.
The amount of success, the amount of trophies you win, it does play a huge contribution. So I in the end, I think we both agree that I think Manuel Neuer should have been the winner for that. Best defender with 8%. With 8 votes, 17.4% of the votes, we have David Alaba. 32.6% of the votes goes to Virgil van Dijk, and the winner for best defender with 16 votes, 34.8% goes to Sergio Ramos from Real Madrid. I kind of agree with that.
It's definitely a difficult pull between Van Dijk and Ramos. Obviously, it's difficult to judge based on their respective leagues,
especially when you're trying to compare Van Dijk and Ramos side by side. I definitely have to go with Ramos, even though I'm a Liverpool fan. I think Ramos.
I think what's impressive about Ramos is kind of how that Real Madrid back line isn't as strong without him. We've kind of seen when Ramos is out, the impact he has on that team. Yeah. He's so large. It's I forgot the exact statistic. It was with Ramos in the Champions League, and it was 7 wins, very minimum. It was without Ramos, and it's 2-2.
Mm-hmm. That's really crazy.
And even though this is not a shot at Van Dijk, but yes, Liverpool's have been without Van Dijk for the season, and they're finding ways to win because it's just that defense. The rest of that defense is really strong. Yeah. And is able to kind of play at such a high ability that they don't necessarily need Van Dijk.
Yeah, especially Ramos. Like you said, he's a heavy contributor to the Real Madrid squad, and just the amount of trophies and accomplishments he's won in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a marvelous career.
Yeah, he's had a great career.
And I think just by that you could just easily just tell that he's better than the both. Yeah, out of the two of them.
And then Alaba, obviously, he wasn't gonna win out of those two, but he's transfer rumors for Alaba, which will be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's gonna be crazy. We're going on to best midfielder. I think I'm just gonna say the winner because this was a huge
pretty
landslide.
Outright winner.
A huge landslide. 16 votes with 34.8% of the votes going to Kevin De Bruyne from Manchester City. I agree. That's he's been phenomenal. But at the same time, Joshua Kimmich, all these midfielders are good. Yeah, I think, but De Bruyne, he showed his class.
He's been showing his class, obviously, against Wolves. I'm not sorry. No,
in the Champions League, he knows how to. He knows how to
play. I was gonna say against Southampton over the weekend. He was creating so many chances, just his players aren't putting him away.
Mm-hmm.
He puts shots for his teammates on a plate, and they just have to score. So that's just crazy. I mean, Kim's breakout has been
he's
amazing.
had a phenomenal year, no doubt. But I think when you're trying to compare these two players, I think De Bruyne.
Because Kimmich he's got such a good supporting cast in Bayern Munich.
Definitely. We're moving on to best winger. Oh, by the way, I just want to give a huge shout out to Roberto Ginin. He's been here voted so many times, but shout out to you, Roberto.
Shout out, Roberto.
Best winger, I think, another landslide. Let me read the top 3. The top 3 goes, so third place, we've got 17.4% of the votes going to Sadio Mane, 19.6% of the votes going to Heung-min Son, and 30.4% of the votes going to Lionel Messi. Now, in terms of best winger, I guess you could say. I mean, I'm a little debated here. I'm debating a little bit because I think all these three players have had a terrific
seasons. I would agree. I think the kind of reason why like Messi kind of goes over the top is because like he may not be playing his best football right now, but looking at the course of all of 2020, he did lead La Liga in goals and assists.
Yeah.
Which is like, if you're doing that, he's clearly having a major impact.
I think because he's notably he's just notified as one of the best players in history, like right now. I mean, and in history. I mean, that just plays a huge. It just contributes a lot to the votes, and I do think Heung-min Son as well. Like
Heung-min Son's had a good breakout year. He's playing extremely well with Harry Kane.
I really do think it's his best year so far.
Definitely his best start.
And I mean, Messi's winner, and we agree. Next up, for best striker, the top three standings come as followed. 10.9% of the votes goes to Erling Haaland, 23.9% of the votes goes to Lewandowski, and 34.8% of the votes goes to Cristiano Ronaldo, the winner.
This is interesting.
That's interesting because I mean, we seemed a little repetitive creating this, like when we do Ballon d'Or and best striker, but this is just strikers, and you had like a much more variety of players to pick from. But Ronaldo and Lewandowski, it's tough to say, but I think just because Lewandowski had like a better year, I think especially with like Bayern, like
I think
the 5 trophies they won.
Yeah, winning the Champions League.
Lewandowski's been phenomenal, so I think Lewandowski should have won that.
It should have gone to Lewandowski. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And now this is probably the biggest award, one of them all.
Yeah.
The best American player.
All right, we're gonna read the votes. So we're gonna read should we read the top three? I think top three is.
Yeah, we can read the top three.
The top three. This is a landslide, but we will let you know who the real winner is after this. But Weston McKennie with 13% of the votes, it was placed third. In second place with 19.6% is Gio Reyna from Borussia Dortmund, and with 50% of the votes, you got the main man Christian Pulisic from Chelsea. Now, in terms, let's just say
let's address the obvious.
Okay, the U.S. men's national team has the choice is official, and first of all, sorry we didn't put Serginho Dest in this poll, but let's just say the U.S. men's national team came out with the winner this year, and it was none other than, surprisingly for you guys, Weston McKennie, who's got the third highest amount of votes in this poll.
And I think like a lot of people kind of forgot like Weston McKennie's impact with Schalke. He played extremely well for them and made them a really good side, and now playing for Juventus with Ronaldo, he's kind of found his form, and I think like considering his form right now like could make him like what kind of made the U.S. men's national team want to give it to him. But also looking at Pulisic's summer form was, I mean, he did deal with some injuries, but his summer form was crazy.
So let me ask you, like, because you're a big Chelsea fan, so do you think it's either Pulisic or McKennie who deserved it?
I mean, like, obviously, like, McKennie, they're two completely different players. It's kind of difficult to judge.
Yeah.
McKennie played a consistent full year, minimum injuries, and had a major impact on his, like, both teams he played for. Pulisic, obviously, when he wasn't on the pitch the whole year, he had injuries at the beginning of the year in January and February, and now he has injuries right now. But when he was playing and he was healthy, he was the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think in terms of my opinion, I don't see Gio Reyna being like the best, but I think it definitely comes down to McKennie and Pulisic. Let's not forget like Tyler Adams. He did help out Leipzig a lot. But in terms of McKennie and Pulisic, like you said, like injuries, he's had quite a load of injuries. But for McKennie to see that progression from going to Schalke to Juventus and like adapting to that,
so well,
Italian champions, I think I'll have to go with McKennie. But like let's not forget, just Pulisic is he's a quality player. He like if let's say if he didn't have these injuries and he kept playing consistently, I think he would definitely would have won.
He's not just the best American player. Kind of, if he stays healthy, he's one of the top wingers in the world if he's healthy. But kind of talking about like the U.S. men's, because we're not having a segment about them today.
Yeah.
Talking about the U.S. men's national team as a whole and what they've done. Like if we were doing this show 2 years ago, we wouldn't have any content.
Yeah.
And now there's so many players, American players in Europe, and they're all having such big impacts on these massive clubs. You have Dest and Conrad de la Fuente at Barcelona.
Yeah.
Christian Pulisic at Chelsea. You had McKennie at Juventus, Adams, like playing like all Champions League teams for Leipzig.
I'll tell you one thing, and that's like you're right. If we decided to come out with the show 2 years ago, there would be nothing to talk about in terms of the American national team. It was really devastating for them not to qualify for the 2018 World Cup, and just like for them not like qualifying for that, it's just literally nothing to talk about. It's like literally an embarrassment because this U.S. men's national team, they participated in the 2014 World Cup. They know how to win the CONCACAF Gold Cup. However, like they weren't doing their best. Like the players got old. They had to get like some players like retired from the national team. But in comes these young progressive, like these young players.
And now they have like too many players that are for one team.
And now it's crazy because now you have so many Americans playing in Europe that you completely forget about the MLS home ground like players.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, who do we pick? Like we got to see like. So we have like an MLS-sided like national team, and we have a European-based sided national team. Like, let's see, like how can these players like perform? Like, which ones out of all of them should we pick for like selections to like the World Cup qualifications? So like all these different competitions, and yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. Now speaking about the best, moving on from the great U.S. men's national team, best manager. I'll just give you the top three. Pep Guardiola and Hansi Flick tied with 8 votes each at 17.4%. And Jurgen Klopp won with 13 votes, 28.3%.
This
I know you're a Liverpool fan, so I'm sure you're happy about this, but
it's,
I'm curious.
It's what Jurgen Klopp said. I don't remember his exact words. He's like, you don't expect it, but like I'm happy that I won. I mean, it's good enough that I won, but he did said Hansi Flick, like I think he definitely deserved it with the amount of success he's won with Bayern, especially 5 years. Your first year season. It's like insane. Like this guy I think he deserves all the hype he gets.
You win 5 trophies, you should deserve something.
And it's someone like that you didn't like knew 2 years ago because Bayern Munich was like so like they were so busy with keeping up with managers sacking. Like we know Niko Kovac got sacked. Ancelotti was leading this team. We know like all of them, and for Hansi Flick to come into this role and to like heavily contribute to this team, winning not only the treble but 5 trophies in one season, that is insane. That is
crazy.
And this goes to like the best team award. But like I think Hansi Flick definitely deserved that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, like best team. This is no doubt. This is a landslide. This is 37% of the votes going to Bayern Munich. This is just well deserved.
Yeah, they're clearly the best team out there.
They've proven that they're the best. Yeah,
they won 5 trophies this year, and they don't seem like anyone's gonna stop them, which is just crazy to see.
And the last award of the day of the year.
This is just the week. Yeah.
Yeah. The weekly poll. Which team do you think will win the Premier League? The top 3 are as followed. We got 13% going to Tottenham, 17.4% going to Chelsea, 41.3% the winners going to Liverpool. Shout out to Ryan Lippens for including Everton here with that 2.2% of the votes.
And Everton, they're not out of it yet.
They're not. No, it's not.
Certainly not. Certainly this race is wide open.
Yeah, but in terms of who's winning it, it's really hard to tell.
Little statistic. 8 of the last 10 teams, Premier League teams, that were at the top of the table going into Christmas have won the league. So it'll be interesting to see if Liverpool will make that 9 out of 11. It'll be curious. They've been playing extremely well.
I mean, at this point, if we see Liverpool winning the Champions League, I mean not the Champions League, sorry, the Premier League, it's not going to be like surprising news they won like last season because last season coming in, we know they were like one of the top sides, but we expected Manchester City to win that because they still have Pep.
Well, what's also interesting, Manchester City still has the best odds to win the Premier League,
despite like where they
despite where their position is.
Yeah,
which is extremely interesting. Like, a lot of people have faith in Pep Guardiola and his ability.
Yeah,
and people think these injuries will eventually catch up to them.
And let's not only Ryan, but we can shout out a young Arsenal supporter out there who did vote Arsenal with that 2.2% of the votage. But yeah, I mean...
Yeah, Arsenal fans are going to need a miracle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if they want to escape relegation or like Europa League, it is what it is. So we're going to take a short break, but we want to thank you guys for voting for this poll. We greatly appreciate it.
46 responses. That's awesome.
46 responses.
We did a good poll.
That's insane.
And we'll be back to wrap up the show for 2020.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We're back on the soccer show on sleepyhollowradio.com, and we're going to wrap up soccer in 2020, or football overseas. Apologies, but here are the highlights. 2020 began with Liverpool dominating the Premier League in an unstoppable force. Watford were the team to pull off an immaculate 3-0 win over Liverpool in February 29.
That was a shocker to see Watford pull such a result.
Yeah,
and this was the Liverpool collapse.
And they even and Watford even got relegated.
And Watford got relegated.
But
and
the collapse of Liverpool.
Atletico Madrid advanced past Liverpool with a 3-2 win in Liverpool
in the Champions League. This is
the Champions League 4-2 aggregate. And of course, on March 11th, also the legendary slide.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's still sliding till this day.
It's hard to see like a team like Liverpool
and Chelsea knocks Liverpool out of the FA Cup as well. So this Liverpool team just looked lifeless and
the collapse. Yeah,
they collapsed. Yeah. And then
on March 16th,
the world collapsed.
Yep. The UK government announced that all sports would be halted until April 1st. Obviously, April 1st wasn't. It didn't happen, but on May 16th. The Bundesliga became the first major sports league to restart soccer under strict coronavirus protocols with no spectators.
And I think this isn't for all of the broadcasts. This is just for the TV broadcast channel Sky Sports achieved double its viewership with 3.68 million views on their platform alone.
That's impressive. That's really impressive.
What was so about this whole restart is not only did the restart it grew the game of soccer so much. So many more people were kind of watching it and getting into it. So that increased the popularity of soccer. But as well, you could now hear every word of what everyone was saying. You're kind of seeing people pulling people back, kind of yelling, cut across.
This is so funny now that I completely forgot about it. But it was last season. And I'm not going to curse, no, but this was in an Inter, again, I forgot, I think against Udinese, but it was Victor Moses going up on the attack for Inter, and then Lukaku was waiting in the middle, but Victor Moses was unable to cross it in, and then Lukaku just says Victor, and then he just throws the F-bomb, and you could just hear it. I'm like, oh my god. You
just hear the frustration. You kind of see how everything plays out. Players will get frustrated now. You're not just seeing their kind of their facial frustration. You are hearing what they say, and that was definitely a good kind of new aspect of soccer we got to see. Obviously, it wasn't as good as fans, but it was definitely funny to see for a little while.
Yeah, and on June 17th, the Premier League began Project Restart. The return of soccer brought hope to those who needed it, and it was used as a platform to promote social justice and thank the front-line workers. And with this Project Restart, it just it gave us so much more matches in
it gave us so many clustered matches. It was
especially in the Champions
League. It was
the
Christmas break, but for 2 months.
Exactly.
It was awesome.
And seeing the Champions League as well, in the summer, that's crazy. And going every single week instead of going one week, then there's a break next week, and then we're going back to the Champions League the following week.
And then obviously on June 25th, the Chelsea Blues, led by a young American, we haven't mentioned him much, but he goes by Christian Pulisic. Yeah. would mount an upset over Manchester City, giving the Liverpool Reds their first Premier League title.
This is unbelievable. Seeing that game and seeing Pulisic score, I'm like, what the heck?
Pulisic's goal,
that's
that was
crazy.
To just sprint down the full field, a little defensive error.
That was one hell of a
curls
goal,
it right around, and Liverpool fans couldn't be any happier.
Yeah, that what a way to win the Premier League title. But on August 21st, Sevilla won their 6th Europa League title in a 3-2 win over Inter, and on August 23rd, Bayern Munich would get a 1-0 win over PSG, making them the champions of Europe and winners of the treble. Leagues began with either no fans or minimum fans, as Europe's top leagues continue the sport we all love. As we all know by now, the Premier League, they do have some stadiums allowing up to 2,000 fans.
Yeah, obviously it's been like difficult for them. Like London moved down to a tier 3, so they were able to have 2,000 fans in stadiums. And seems like London, Chelsea, West Ham, and then obviously they got moved right back into tier 4, which if you're not from London or England, that tier 4 is the worst degree that they have kind of deemed. They haven't found a tier 5 yet.
Yeah.
But it means no fans in stadiums, so it's unfortunate to see. But
it is really unfortunate. Like we said, like constantly on the show, this fans are what make up this beautiful sport. Like especially like watching highlights before COVID, like seeing the fans reacting, like celebrating. It's just it's wonderful to see. And yeah, I mean, this is gonna be the wrap up of the show. We're gonna be gonna give you guys like a little like info on the power of soccer.
A little story to end it.
The Christmas truce story for those that you haven't heard. So World War I erupted during the year 1914, and on that Christmas Eve, we had many British and German troops that sang Christmas carols to each other. At the first light of dawn on Christmas Day, some German soldiers emerged from their trenches and approached the Allied lines across no man's land, calling out Merry Christmas in their enemies' native tongues. At first, the Allied soldiers feared it was a trick, but seeing the Germans unarmed, they climbed out of their trenches and shook hands with the enemy soldiers. The men exchanged presents of cigarettes and plum puddings and sang carols and songs. This is all wonderful. Some Germans lit Christmas trees around their trenches, and there was even a documented case of soldiers from opposing sides playing a good-natured game of soccer.
To see, in the middle of a war.
It's wonderful. That's like
to see them come together to play a little game of soccer.
That's something really beautiful there. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
And I think it's a great way to, and for those who don't know the story, it's a great way to like see that impact of soccer, and it's a good way to end 2020.
Yeah,
the year we will never forget.
Yeah, for sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you guys for tuning in to the soccer show, our first ever year in SleepyHollowRadio.com.
This is also the 10th episode.
10th episode, yeah. We want to thank you guys a lot for listening to our show, and we will be back on January 2021.
Yeah, we'll be back for January 2021.
We wish you guys a Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We're excited for the future. We got a new segment. Segment show that we'll be coming out with very soon, so excited for that, and we'll see you next year.
You guys have a happy new year.
You know, he's a genius. He can do special things with the football.
Ball still in there. Pulisic! Hat-trick!
This one drops in. And forget about it.
¡Golazo!